add and subtract integers, and now we're going to learn how to multiply and divide them. And lucky for you, we have a very simple strategy for this, and it is called Dorito Man. Dorito Man is going to be your best friend when it comes to solving these problems, because if you use him, you will get them right, as long as you know your multiplication facts. If you don't, you really need to be practicing that. So you'll notice Dorito Man, DM, division, multiplication. This only works for division and multiplication. So we already have strategies for adding and subtracting, and you don't want to get confused and think that you can use this for adding and subtracting. So make sure you go back and watch the other videos if you get confused about the adding and subtracting strategies. For Dorito Man, his eyes are negatives, so you've got two negatives. His mouth is a positive. In your problem, you will have two numbers. And so you're going to cross out the symbols or the signs from the problem. That's step one. So if it was a negative times a negative, you would cross out both of these. Or if it was a negative times a positive, you cross out the negative and the positive. If you cross out 2, it's going to leave 1. And so the remaining one is for the answer. Okay, remaining sign is for the answer. Let's try this out on some practice problems. The first practice problem that we're going to do is 3 times 2. Those are both positive. You're going to notice there's not 2 positives on here. Uh-oh. Do we really need Dorito Man for this one? We learned this in 3rd grade. So I'm showing you this to remind you, 3 times 2 is 6. You already knew that. You don't need Dorito Man for that one. Let's move on to one that you do need Dorito Man for. So another one is negative 3 times negative 2. So hopefully you already knew the dot means multiplication. If you didn't, you know now. Another way that we can see multiplication is if 2 sets of parentheses are right next to each other. So that means multiplication. So I'm going to draw my Dorito Man out to the side. I've got a negative and a negative, so I cross out those. And remember, 1 is remaining. So that means my answer should be positive. So negative 3 times negative 2 is also positive 6. So 3 times 2 is 6. Negative 3 times negative 2 is also 6. Another example that we're going to do is 3 times negative 2. Again, I'm going to draw my Dorito Man. So I've got positive 3, so I cross out the positive, and negative 2, so I cross out a negative. Again, I have 1 symbol remaining, so that tells me that my answer is negative 6 this time. And our last example is going to be negative 3 times 2. So this is another way you might see multiplication. When a number is right next to the parentheses, that means they're being multiplied. So again, I draw a quick Dorito Man, and I've got a negative 3 and a positive 2. So there's 1 symbol remaining. My answer is going to be negative 6. One thing you can notice is here we had the same signs, 2 positives, 2 negatives. So anytime the symbols are the same, the answer comes out positive. And on both of these, we had one of each. We had different signs. So if there's different signs, it always comes out negative. But that can be confusing because of our rules for adding and subtracting. So just make sure you're using Dorito Man, and make sure you rewatch this video if you need help.